Hey guys, this is Regina with Inspire. Today's show is going to be like none other. I know you guys are used to hearing me say that, but it's true. I'm going to be interviewing a couple named Maggie and Pete Carrasquillo. Their story is incredible. It is a story of a journey of people who fought to be here and impact the lives of others. I can't think of a better inspiring story that needs to be told. Again, this is Regina with Inspire. You guys plug in, like, and share, because you're going to want to keep this one. Hey guys, well, it's Regina again, and we're here with Inspire. You know how I always say that, the person I'm interviewing is going to be an incredible, story. It's going to be an incredible interviewee. Well, today I'm telling you the truth. That's exactly what it's going to be still. The couple in which you're going to meet, they are an incredible couple, Pete and Maggie Carrasquillo. When I tell you they have a story, they have a story. And so be sure and tell all of your friends and everyone to plug in, because today you're going to be inspired. What is our catchphrase? We're here to inspire you so you can go forth and inspire others. We'll be back in a second. All right, guys, just as I promised, here they are, Pete and Maggie Carrasquillo. How are you guys doing?
We're doing
We're doing
great.
good.
So, like I'm diving right in, and it sounds all professional, but guys, look, these are my friends. I absolutely love and adore them, and if I want to be cracking up, laughing, and I need to get through a day, this is the chick I call. Guys, it is so amazing that we would be kind of sitting in this place and just kind of talking about life with two warriors. And when I say warriors, that's exactly who you guys are. When we're coming up today and was preparing for the show today, I said I know exactly what to entitle this show, and I'm not going to tell you yet until we get there. So Maggie, we're going to start with you first. Who is Maggie Carrasquillo?
Maggie Carrasquillo is one. I don't want to give you the Christianese kind of
No,
thing.
I know what you do.
And I'm absolutely sure that I am a daughter of the King. And outside of that, I'm bold as a lion, courageous as I don't know what, and just in love with Jesus.
Yeah.
I'm a friend, I'm a mother, I'm a wife, but before all that, I'm just in love with Jesus.
And so I can't ignore him. He's right here. So Pete, Pete. So is she dead on when she's saying that?
Dead on. She's dead on. Definitely on the bold as a lion, for sure.
I agree. Since we're right here, you're the husband, of this lion. So what has it been like? You guys have been married too for how long?
18
18 years.
18 years.
We've been together for 23.
23 years. Praise God. A lot of people don't even make it out the chute, so that is something. To praise
We
God.
stumbled a little bit, but we made it out.
So what is it like being the husband of this amazing woman?
It is awesome, actually. I like to say one of the top 3 words would be entertaining. That I stay entertained. Definitely, not just wife, but best friend and companion. I will go anywhere in the world, and truly ready to spend the rest of my life with this one. So that's exciting.
He did get an offering to say that.
He did. Okay.
He did, right here under the table.
I'm working on it.
It was on your speak well, brother, speak well.
So, but no, truly amazing. What I will say is that what you see is what you get. A lot of times, when she's out there and she's ministering, and a lot of people think, oh, well, did she just prepare something, or she just up there being bold up there? And it's the same. It's consistent all the way through, and I love to see that. I do love to see that, and that's amazing.
I think one of the things that I love the most about you guys is how your love emanates for each other. It is absolutely, mind-blowing, and it is so genuine, and so I'm so blessed to know you guys and have seen you really in action. And it's amazing. It really is. Now, I'm interviewing you, but I'm so glad that I do get to do this interview with you on here, Pete, because the first sermon with the two of you guys together, you were just killing it, but Pete came up and just slayed the lion like right before you got up. And I was so mad because my iPad got stolen. So I'm glad that you're here. I used to listen to you every morning. I kid you not, a couple of times throughout the day. And then we get down to the fight because that's exactly who she is. So in this journey, you guys are in ministry. Give us a little bit about your ministry.
Our ministry started in 2006, Passion, Fire, and Love, and that's what we preach. You know, it's passion, it's fire, and it's love. And more so, what we've gotten into is identity, because we believe the body of Christ is in an identity crisis.
Yeah.
You know, nobody knows who they are, and that's why we can't even come together and agree on one thing.
Yeah.
And so that's been something that God has really put on our heart. As missionaries, we've been to Argentina, we've been to Bosnia, we've been all over Mexico, and that'll get you in trouble because them tacos ain't no joke in Mexico. You can't get that off the taco truck over here. I'm just saying. You know, I came back like 15 pounds heavier. We were only there for a week. I'm just kidding.
Stop, girl.
So we've been all over Mexico, we've been to Argentina, but I think the most impressive and the most that God has allowed us to do and see was in New Zealand. And we've been there 4 times, getting ready for our 5th trip right after this year.
I know that God, he uses you. I remember, without trying to tell my own story, I remember coming back from Haiti and having to pull over on the side of the road. And when I tell you this woman is powerful, I had you pray for me, and right then, God moved. But you did not just get here overnight. Your journey, it has been, it's been a journey. And so that people can really understand where your faith comes in at, where y'all's hope comes in, and where that fight comes in at, because you were fiery even before you started this part of your journey. I mean, you had a whole lot of fight in you, then, but I want you, over the past, I would say it's been the past, 4 years, 5 years? It has been that long? Wow, since this battle.
Yeah.
Wow, 7 years. And so I don't want to take away from the story, so I want you were on the field doing what you do, and then what happened?
So, there's a lot to say, but I just want to hone in on the fact that, yes, we were doing what we were supposed to be doing and felt like we got a spanking and we didn't know why. Because I started to have what I thought was muscle spasms, and they were only happening during the night, and then they started happening during the day. So Pete was like, this is a muscle spasm. We need to get you into the doctor. Very long story short, it ended up being a tumor. But I will say this, when the doctor called me, she said, you have a lesion in your brain. And Regina, Pete is witness. I was like, oh, we could deal with that. Jesus cast out a whole bunch of them, and this is a demon. And then I realized, well, either way, it's still a demon. It was, this just huge attack. And so had surgery the first time, and then they had to come back because they were seeing it grow back just a little bit. But then this last time was rough because it was 3 times bigger than it was to begin with. And I was having tons of the big seizures, but not going unconscious. And I almost feel like could I have just gone unconscious and not known what was going on, and that's not how it happened. I knew everything, felt everything. And so that wasn't fun at all. And then that was happening. We had gone to New Zealand. That's when you were in much intercession and prayer for me, because I absolutely thought I was going to die in New Zealand. I was like, that's it. But in my heart, I was like, if I go now, I'm doing exactly what God has called me to do.
Can we stop right there? Just that? Okay, so you had this brain tumor. The first time when you found out, you guys though, and I think it's important, I try not to tell, the story. I've been corrected numerous times for telling other people's stories, but this time, guys, I gotta back up a little bit. I remember, guys, you guys praying, and literally there was a hole. Can you tell a little bit about that? where, I mean, you guys fought this thing and
Yeah, we did. Because the first time our doctor was very, very negative.
mhm,
She was like, basically, this is the prognosis, and hey, deal with it.
mhm.
And so we did. We prayed, and Pete actually got me a picture of a brain that was completely normal. And
Come
he's
on.
like, I need you to focus on this the entire time you're in that MRI machine.
Yeah.
This is what I need you focused on. And I did. I began to visualize exactly what he had shown me. And then I was already thanking God
Yeah.
that it was over with, right? And so we get to go back into the doctor's office, and the MRI is ready right away. And so she opens it, and for whatever reason, they started having technical difficulties. So they had to open it in the lobby where all these other patients are sitting. And when they did, she comes out and she says, where is it? And there was no enhancement and there was no tumor. And so this is happening in a room full of people. And she looks at me and she says, there has to be something wrong. And I said, no, you just have to admit that you were wrong.
Yeah.
That was it. And so we walked out of there thinking, this is over. It's done with. We're not going to have to go through this again.
Yeah.
And I went a year and a half, and I was telling everybody and their mother-in-laws that, I'm cancer free and I'm going for it.
Which was true.
Yeah.
That tumor, it left. I think that's important for us to say that you guys prayed, you stood in faith, and you dealt with that. The attack just continued. We can win battles and then still have to get up and fight again. But I think it's important that people know that, when you hit those moments of where God did move, it is not that he did not move for you. He moved for you.
It was 1 month to the other between the two MRIs.
Mm-hmm.
So you had them both next to each other. You had the month prior before, and then the one that showed nothing on it right next to
Right
it.
next to each other.
You know what I'm saying? A month later. So
Wow. But the
And like I said, it was happening in this lobby full of
Yeah.
people. So I kind of felt like, I'm sitting there, I'm ready to preach. I'm like,
I know you were.
told you, and you know me, I told you, I try to tell you God was going to get this glory. And so it was really amazing. And it gave us a lot of hope, obviously.
Yeah.
And then the second time when it came around, it was a lot harder because I didn't understand. I'm preaching, I'm, doing life again, and I start to have seizures again. And these weren't just petite. It was my whole leg would come up and shake for up to 2 minutes. And so that wasn't happening after the first one. But I need to say this. When I had the first one, they weren't sure whether I was going to be able to walk, to talk, or to see again. And as you can see, I'm doing all three. So then here we go in for the second one, and it's the same doctor, and he's a dang good doctor, but he says to me, this isn't a cure, and you're gonna have to have radiation and chemotherapy. So we get done with the second tumor, everything's removed. I'm out of the hospital in 2 days after brain tumor. And at that time, I actually had this creature thing walk in my room and tell me your life is over. And what came out of my mouth, I had never read in the Bible. I had never read it. And so it's standing in front of me. I'm seizing. I just got out of surgery and I'm seizing.
Right.
And what came out of my mouth was, you're a withering branch coming to nothing. And yeah, I could feel that.
I felt that, right?
I was like, you're a withering branch coming to nothing. And I'm sitting there having this seizure, and I'm thinking, I just had surgery, so this shouldn't be happening. So my doctor walks in the morning and he says, we're releasing you today. And I said, no, you don't understand. I just had, I was seizing last night.
Right.
He's like, okay, well, if it happens at home, it happens at home. But you need to get ready for radiation and chemotherapy. So my whole family got together and we began to pray, because I was supposed to start chemo that day, and the chemo doesn't show up. It just, because I'm on oral chemo, and it didn't show up to the door. And then when we called, it was like, we don't even have an order for you. And my doctor was doing all that. So my family and I took it as that's a no. We ain't doing it this way. So, and we went 3 years with holistic, trying everything natural. And I'm not going to say that it didn't work, because that tumor didn't start growing back until 3 years later, after we went through all this holistic stuff. But we were, being led by the Lord the entire time. When somebody from New Zealand called us and said, there is a clinic in San Antonio, Texas, how far are you from it? That has to be God. I'm like, yeah. So we packed up our things. We moved to San Antonio, and went to a holistic clinic there, and then moved back to Houston. Had 2 years of more holistic stuff here, and then I started having the big ones again. And so that's when we went back.
Let me back up a little bit for those that are listening. So you guys are challenged with all of this, and you know what's going on. And Pete, you're watching your wife go through these things. But the thing that I do know is that it requires faith for you to even take the second route, How do you muster up that kind of faith to be able to stand and say, okay, God, Sometimes things come in like a flood. But how is it that you muster up that kind of faith to be able to stand and say, you know what, I'm going to trust you. This thing is big, but I'm going to trust you. How do you do that?
And that thing was just knowing his voice. I don't have a problem doing, as long as I know he's saying go, as long as I know he's saying do. And if he's saying run, dive off the cliff, I got you. As long as I know it's him.
Right.
By the time you turn around, I'm not waiting for 1, 2, 3, I'm gone.
Right.
Right. So I think it was that assurance, knowing that out of all people, I could trust you. Out of all people, you have me. And if you're saying, hey, go ahead and go, I mean, literally within a month, we were packed up, had an apartment in San Antonio, and moved. And we worked out the details after. But God, you said go.
How important is it that when you hear the voice of God that you move like, because you guys, you're saying it like you packed up and you were like out of there. How important is it to your victory to move when he speaks?
It's so important, because if you delay in any way, something else can get in there. And I'm talking about a stranger's voice that starts to speak and say, this isn't going to work out. And not that it didn't come, but by the time it came, I was like, we already set up our furniture in the apartment. You ain't getting us to go back to Houston. You know what I'm saying? Right. And so it's very important that we obey. And I'll say this, Regina, because I've heard it a lot, delayed obedience isn't obedience. And what the Lord showed me was delayed obedience just causes more friction. It causes, you're going to, encounter more. But if you do it when I tell you to do it, I'm running that train. Everything has to move out the way for me. And you understand that, right? Because he's the King of glory, and he's coming in as a mighty warrior. And then you get to show up in him, and it's like, bam. So don't delay your obedience, because it's very important. You get to show up with daddy on the front line.
Especially when he's fighting for you.
Exactly. And when you delay it, you don't know what you're going to encounter. You have no idea what's coming. Yeah. So not that, because a lot of people get condemned when they're like, oh man, I didn't do it when God told me to do it, and now he's, punishing me, or whatever the idea is out there. And it's not that at all. Right. It's just that the enemy now knows that you're vulnerable, and you really don't trust what you just heard. Right. So now I can throw all these other voices at you and keep you confused.
Right.
And so it's very important.
I love that the most about you, because you always go back for brothers and sisters and say, hey, look, yeah, okay, I know what you think, but this is really how God sees us. He never gives up on us. Yeah, we missed it, but he's still working this out, and you give those explanations of why, and I thank you so much for doing that. So now we are on the third go-round.
The third go-round was horrible. It wasn't the same doctor, and then he, anything that I said that had to do with God, he would just literally almost manifest. And I'm like, what is happening? We'll deal with this demon. I'm telling you. So it wasn't fun, having to deal with just the doctor. Yeah. But then coming out of that, I would swell, which had never happened. So I had to ask if he had even put my cranium back. And his response was, yes, we did. And if you're swelling, you're just swelling. It was kind of that attitude behind it. So I knew that once again, the enemy was trying to come in and say, you're going to have problems. And I have had different problems where my left side doesn't work as much as or as well as it did, but that's temporary. And I have trouble at times with my speech. So I look at it like, okay, I could be having all other kind of issues. They told me I wasn't going to see, I wasn't going to be able to talk, none of that. So that's what gives me hope. It's like, God, I'm still here. So I wake up every morning like mercy woke me up, literally, and then have a very good knowing that it's only Him. Before you just wake up and do your thing, and there's, hey, God, good morning, and we have those short conversations. Now I'm laying in bed like, thank you that I'm breathing. Thank you that I had no seizures last night. The list goes on. God's probably like, I got you. I know what you're saying.
I know what you're talking about. Okay, all right, let's get on with the rest of the stuff.
Exactly. And it's changed our whole lives. It's changed our prayer lives. It's changed the way we do life. Prayer used to be like, God, heal me, heal me, heal me. And Pete, agreeing with me. And my prayer now is, God, thank you that I'm healed. And thank you that I can still do what you've called me to do, even if it is from sitting in a chair. And it's never a fist at God, like, why is this happening to me? Right. I don't think we even went through that phase. There was never a time where we were like, why is this happening to me?
Well, you killed that second question, because that's exactly what I was going to. Did you ever have, you're like, and there's never, look.
Yeah, no.
Look, my Holy Ghost sister.
It's just because, Regina, this is the best way I can describe it. I'm not going to indict God in my mind.
Come on now.
I'm not going to do that. I have no right to do that. Right. He sits on the throne. Right. And if anything, there's so much humility in knowing that He saved my life. And my life was saved. Yeah. And there's a lot of humility that comes with that. Right. Pete tells me I've become, I'm a crybaby. Yes. He's like, girl, no. He's like, I don't know about all this. He goes, everything you're crying. I was like, because it becomes real life. I remember when I called you the first time and you came over and we sat down together and you said, this is the time that you're grateful. And then, and you were honest with me and you were like, you get to a point where it's just normal life again. Right. Well, our life hasn't been normal since then. So it's just been this gratitude.
Like a new norm.
A new norm.
Yeah. So you were talking about identity. You're fighting a battle that not many people will fight, but you did not lose your identity in the middle of it. Neither one of you. Let's talk about it.
We haven't. You find more. I want to read this one scripture because this is something that we stood on. And it says, awake to your righteousness, and the distortion of sin will have no further effect on you. God is not confused. What a shame that anyone should exchange what God knows to be true about us to someone else's inferior opinion.
And it's found where?
It is found in 1 Corinthians 15:34. And it'll probably say it different in your Bible, but I'm telling you, this is the one we sit on. And it's awakening to that righteousness to understand that there's no separation. That separation is truly an illusion. Mm-hmm. And understanding that if I'm in Him, then I'm everywhere where He's at. And if He's in me, and really just we focus more on the fact that He's in us, because He can do way more in us than we can do in Him, if that makes sense. Right. Because He's the one that's driving. I'm just sitting on His lap. Right. And so when we began to understand that, it made it so much easier because there was a lot of opinions, a lot, what are you doing wrong? Is Pete hiding?
Okay, stop this. Can we go there?
Yeah, let's go there.
I'm glad you said that. What are you doing wrong? Does it have to be that you're doing something wrong? Talk about it, because there are some people that are Christians. There are people that have walked away from Christianity because they were going through like these major battles, and they just kind of threw their hands up in the air. just feeling like they couldn't get it right. Can we talk about that? They felt like the things that were happening, God was punishing them. Come on, let's talk about it.
But I guess it's knowing that God's not a punisher, but He's a finisher, right? He doesn't punish us. And we have this Old Testament, Old Covenant mentality. And you grew up with that. I mean, I didn't even know there was a New Testament till I was like 15, 16 years old. Okay, I'm exaggerating. But still, everything my grandmother said came out of the Old Testament.
Right.
And if you didn't come down from the mountain, hey, you died up there. I was like, wait, I don't want to go up the mountain then. So it was a lot of that. And then every single time you did something wrong at home, you were going to hell. It wasn't even you're being punished. They skipped that one in my family. You were just going straight to hell. So you're just scared your entire life. So then when life starts to happen, you immediately think,
right,
I'm doing something wrong. And then you have people in the church realm that agree with that, because they don't know any better either.
What I would do, and God has convicted my heart, and I don't do it anymore. I used to say, stuff would start going crazy. I say, Achan is in the camp.
Exactly. And then you have the other side that was like, okay, so you're not doing anything wrong, but what is Pete doing that you don't know about?
Because we knew it was you, Pete.
Yeah, it was like he was the one that needed to be thrown overboard, And I was like, so it started to mess with my mind, because I'm thinking, is Pete doing something that I don't know about?
Stop! Are you kidding?
Being honest. So I just had a conversation with my husband. I said, look, if there's something you need to tell me, please, because I don't want to have to pay for something that you're doing wrong. This should be falling on you. Your head should be on the chopping block, not mine, literally.
And Pete, are you looking at her like, have you lost your mind for real?
I was.
Are you having a seizure at this moment?
I was. But that's where I said part of it was entertaining. So.
So we got past that one, and then it was the thorn in my flesh, and then it was my Job experience. But I love, like I said, Regina, God talks to me like He talks to me. So He's like, a thorn in your flesh, you've been a thorn in other people's flesh. He's like, that's not what we're doing. And I was like, God, thank you that I was able to help.
Crazy.
I was like, I knew you were going to do it. You did it.
We're better people. Thank you for our ministry challenges. Amen. In this, the journey's not over, but you're still praising Him.
Oh, yeah. Till my last breath.
To your last breath.
Till my last breath.
Wow. With you saying that, I'm going to let you go ahead and close, sister. I'm going to let you do what you do. Just go ahead and just, because we have people who don't know Him that listen.
I think, like I said, the image of God is so distorted that you have to understand, first off, that He's a good God. And secondly, that He can't be something else other than love, because love is not something He does. Love is who He is. And when you think about that, and we've been chastised, a lot of us, by the church, so you don't want nothing to do with the church. But we are His church, just individually. And if you could just step into that reality of saying, I know that I belong to Him and He belongs to me, and He loves me no matter what. And that no matter what, that's what's in stone. No matter what, that's what's written on the tablet. No matter what. And I just want to encourage people to understand that it doesn't matter where you're at. It just matters that you know who He is, and you say yes to Him, and you move forward in that. And it doesn't have to look like the next person. It's not supposed to, because you're the expression of Jesus in you and through you. So trying to be somebody else is not going to help us. We have a Regina Johnson. We have a T.D. Jakes. We have a Pete Carrasquillo. Those are already there. But what are you going to do with what God has given you? And everybody plays a piece of the puzzle. Everybody does. Whether it's big, small, Biggie Smalls, whatever it is, it's going to get taken care of. And so I just want to encourage the people to receive God's love. And you know me, because we have to laugh. I mean, if 5 shots couldn't stop Tupac, it should.
Come on now.
Come on. It didn't stop him. It still shouldn't stop you either. You just have to keep going. And I can say that I'm not making light of anybody's situation.
Not at
But
all.
when you pay more attention to the problem, you're already lining up with Satan himself. You're lining up with the perpetrator, the one who is abusing you, the one who is using you. You're lining up with him. You're already saying, okay, you can have me and you can have all of me, because you start to line up with the lie. So what we decided when we started this journey, it was like, we're not going to talk about what the enemy is doing in our lives. We're not going to focus on that, because he can only kill, steal, and destroy. And either one of those that he tries to do, my God's always going to step in. And so, go for what you know. Pete's always like, don't invite him in. I'm not inviting him in. we're already in the ring, right?
Right.
And you might feel like you are getting knocked down every round. But the fact of the matter is, at the end of that fight, they're still holding up your hand saying, this is the champion.